The Vice President of Argentina, Cristina Fernández de Kirchner, called for dialogue in her first public appearance after the premiere of Unión por la Patria, the new ruling coalition. The Greek Coast Guard began the third day of search in the area where a fishing boat packed of migrants sank. And South African President Cyril Ramaphosa arrived in Kiev as part of the African peacekeeping mission to find ways to resolve the Ukrainian crisis. Hello from the headquarters of teleSUR English in Havana, Cuba. This is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. On Thursday, Iran and Cuba signed several agreements on the economic, commercial, and cultural cooperation during the visit of the Iranian President Syed Ebrahim Raisi to the Caribbean nation. An integral cooperation program to expand the collaboration between Iran and Cuba was among the agreements signed, as well as a memorandum of understanding on political consultations aimed at expanding communications between the foreign ministries of both nations. Iran and Cuba also signed agreements on customs-related issues and on the training of customs staff. On the other hand, Havana and Tehran agreed to increase cooperation in computer science and communications, as well as in the application of justice. Iran's First Lady, Jamileh Al-Moholora, visited on Thursday the University of Havana, where she met with Cuban intellectuals and women leaders of different sectors. During the visit, the First Lady emphasized the importance of women's roles in society, in the family, and in all revolutionary processes, and how the family becomes the base of resistance to any society who is bombarded through West media such as Cuba and Iran. And the revolution leader Raúl Castro received on Thursday the president of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Syed Ebrahim Raisi, who's making an official visit or made an official visit to Cuba. According to the Cuban Communist Party website, the dialogue between the two leaders took place in an atmosphere of friendship and respect, typical of the ties the two countries have maintained for more than 40 years. Venezuela's National Assembly appointed the preliminary commission for the creation of the nominating committee to select the new members of the National Electoral Council. The Venezuelan legislative branch took this measure after the directors of the National Electoral Council resigned and informed that they will remain in office until the National Assembly appoints new electoral authorities.
I call on you to maintain the same serenity, the same patience, the same openness, the same gift of listening to everyone, so that the nomination committee can be formed as soon as possible, and so that the 5 principal rectors and the 10 alternate ones can be sworn in by the only institution that can do so, which is the Venezuelan National Assembly, that began its function on January 5, 2021.
During the session to create the preliminary commission for the nominations of the new members of the National Electoral Council, the president of the Venezuelan National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, stressed the fact that the Bolivarian Revolution has included the poor within the electoral system, dismantling the way one of the domination tools of the social elites.
Millions and millions and millions of votes counted, turnout as never seen before in the history of Venezuela. As Congressman Francisco Ameliak said, the tactic used by the elites, by the plutocracy, and by the Venezuelan oligarchy to control the Venezuelan people was simple. The poor in Venezuela did not have the right to an identity card, and since they did not have an identity card, they did not have a right to vote either.
Argentina's Vice President Cristina Fernández de Kirchner called for dialogue in her first public appearance after the launch of Unión por la Patria, Unity for the Homeland, in English, to address the debts inherited from the government of Mauricio Macri. The Vice President spoke from the White Hall of the Government House of Santa Cruz in the south of Patagonia, where she was accompanied by the Governor Alicia Kirchner and the Minister of Public Works, Gabriel Catopodis. In her speech, she demanded a political agreement to put an end to the bi-monetary economy, which would also make possible agreements and a uniform and patriotic posture. She also pointed out that the rulers must guarantee the least possible conflicts. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find the news in different formats, news, updates and more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. At least 15 people are dead and 10 others have been taken to a hospital in Canada after a bus collided with a semi-trailer truck on the Trans-Canada Highway near Carberry, Manitoba. According to Manitoba's Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the passengers of the bus were from Dauphin and the surrounding area, most of them seniors. 2 STARS air ambulances were called to the scene of the crash, one from Winnipeg and one from Regina, along with other emergency responders who were flown out to the area. And the Greek Coast Guard began on Friday the 3rd day of search in the area where a fishing boat full of migrants sank. Stella Nanu, the spokesperson for the UN High Commissioner for Refugees in Greece, stated that the hopes of finding survivors are reduced, but the search must continue. On the other hand, the International Organization for Migration warned that there are fears that the hundreds of missing people are dead. So far, 78 bodies have been registered as dead and 104 people have been pulled alive from the sea. The Coast Guard spokesperson Nikos Alexiou said that among the passengers in the hold of the fishing boat were women and children, and stressed that the total number of missing people is still unclear. The vessel, which was on its way from Libya to Italy, was being followed by the Greek authorities and the European Union's border protection agency Frontex. And on Thursday, protesters gathered in Greece's capital over the sinking of a fishing boat full of migrants off the country's southwest coast that left at least 79 people dead. They mobilized in the city's capital, Syntagma Square, including representatives of the PEM Trade Confederation, student associations, and the Greek Communist Party, noted public broadcaster ERT. Demonstrators blamed the migration policies of the European Union and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization for the flow of immigrants in the Mediterranean, turning it into the Sea of Death. The sinking, which occurred on Tuesday, also sparked protests in other cities across the nation, including Patras, Larissa, Thessaloniki, and Lamia. On Wednesday, the President Gustavo Petro of Colombia participated in a meeting with the Colombian diaspora in the German capital. During the meeting with Colombian residents in Munich, Cologne, Frankfurt, Hamburg, Kiel, Hanover, Leipzig, and Dresden, Petro questioned the fact that Colombians should renounce their nationality to request the German one. According to the Colombian presidency, the head of state also stated that he will discuss the issue with President Frank-Walter Steinmeier and Chancellor Olaf Scholz, with whom he will meet. And now we move on to other topics. The South African President, Cyril Ramaphosa, arrived in Kiev on Friday as part of the African peacekeeping mission to find ways to resolve the Ukrainian crisis. In this context, the South African head of state and other members of the mission, including the President of Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema, the Senegalese Premier Macky Sall, the African Union Chief Azali Assoumani, and representatives from the Congo, Uganda, and Egypt will hold talks with Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky to promote a plan that will provide a roadmap to Russian-Ukrainian peace negotiations. The African delegation will later travel to Russia to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Saturday. And the head of the United Nations International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi, visited the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant on Thursday and evaluated its situation as serious but stable. The third visit to the plant by a mission from the international agency, headed by Grossi, had been delayed from one day due to safety reasons. The first one took place on September the 1st, after which specialists from the agency stayed at the plant on a rotating basis.
It was extremely difficult. The planning of the mission, obtaining the necessary agreements to come here. Until a few hours ago, I was not sure whether I would be able to come here and visit the plant.
We are evaluating a lot of information, elements of analysis. For us, the consequences of the destruction of the dam are very real. You can see it.
In Russia, the second day of the 26th St. Petersburg International Economic Forum progresses with discussions focused on economic development and the presence of delegations from more than 100 countries. The solemn opening ceremony began in the Congress Hall of the Expo Forum Exhibition and Convention Center. The press assistant of the Russian Federation for International Affairs, Yuri Yushchenkov, announced that the president of Algeria, Abdelmajid Tebboune, will make a presentation at the event. And the Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Algerian counterpart Abdelmajid Tebboune signed a strategic cooperation agreement in Moscow. The agreement was signed as part of the Algerian president's official visit to the Eurasian country. President Putin praised the relations between Moscow and Algiers, which he described as of particular importance, since the African nation is one of the Kremlin's most important allies on the continent and in the world.
Relations with Algeria are of particular importance for our country and are of strategic nature. Only now, while moving to this hall with Mr. President, we recall that relations between Russia and Algeria began to take shape back in the mid-1950s. They developed, we can say that they were already of strategic nature at that time without any exaggeration.
TeleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries using StarSat. Dial 461 and enjoy our Latin American alternative broadcast. One final short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Nigeria's central bank has put an end to its distorted foreign exchange rate, a move the new government in Africa's biggest economy hopes will help to woo investors and stabilize the local currency. According to analysts, the move reflects the changes that the new president Bola Tinubu has pledged to do in order to strengthen the ailing economy. The opposition presidential candidate in Sierra Leone, Samura Kimura, has demanded the resignation of the Electoral Commission ahead of the presidential elections. Opposition All People Congress Party's candidate, Samura Kimura, held a press conference regarding the presidential elections on June 24th. Samura said that the Electoral Commission does not want to conduct fair elections and urged the chair and commissioners to resign immediately. The Kenyan President William Ruto's government is set to present its budget to Parliament on Thursday in the face of widespread anger over a range of proposed tax hikes to shore up depleted public finances. It is Ruto's maiden budget since he took office at the helm of the East African powerhouse in September last year, following a bitterly contested election race. Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani arrived in Baghdad, Iraq on Thursday on official visit to discuss regional political matters and enhance bilateral relations. Qatar's Emir is visiting Baghdad on an invitation by the Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Al-Sudani, said the government spokesperson Basim Al-Awadi. During the Emir's visit, Iraq and Qatar will sign memorandums of understanding to expand cooperation and investment in energy projects.
Arab and regional countries are capable of forming a successful economic bloc that benefits the people of the region. We are working towards this goal, and we have hosted and will host more dialogues and conferences in this regard.
We also discussed regional initiatives to enhance economic relations between the countries of the region, including supporting the project to develop the electrical grid interconnected system between the GCC states and linking it to the southern Iraq network.
And now we move on to other topics. In India, the Meteorological Department warns of possible massive damage when Cyclone Biparjoy makes landfall in the state of Gujarat. According to experts, on Thursday, the storm will cross the Saurashtra and Kutch territories and the coast of Pakistan, with maximum sustained winds speed of 125 to 135 kilometers per hour. The Weather Bureau also forecasted waves of more than 3 meters in the areas close to the sea and rainfall for 4 days starting on Thursday. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.